What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike, and today we are going to talk about, as I play this music stuff, what is going on? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's start that again. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike. I am your host, and today we are going to talk about the news going out around in the world of football. We are also going to talk about the Madden team ratings that have come out this past week, and we are also going to make our preseason position predictions Okay, so how that's basically going to happen is I'm going to give you my thoughts on who is going to be in the top 5 in each position. Now, the offensive lineman, I didn't do the offensive lineman. I know that we're getting an offensive line award this year. It's going to be a new award that's going to be given out during the award ceremonies at the end of the year. But I didn't do the offensive line because there are so many offensive linemen in this league. And with this being a new award that's being given out, I kind of want to scout it how they do it this year. We know how they do it for defensive backs, linebackers, edge rushers and defensive ends, defensive tackles. We know how they give out those awards. We know how they give out a quarterback, a running back, a tight end, a wide receiver award. But the offensive line award is a new one. So I didn't pick offensive line for this. Now, when me and John make our final predictions before the season starts, maybe we'll add in the offensive line. But in the preseason one that I did for you guys today, I didn't do the offensive line. Okay? Now, we are starting a little early today, about a half hour early. Normally, we start at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because of some personal things, I'm starting at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, for those coming in that, may miss the show, you can catch the replay over on the Huddle Hub Podcast YouTube channel at the Huddle Hub Pod. On YouTube. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button while you're over there and checking out not only this episode's replay, but all past episodes of the Huddle Hub Podcast replays. They are posted every Tuesday for you guys to check out. So again, my name is Metal Mike. I'm your host here on the Huddle Hub Podcast, and a big announcement: Johnny H will be making his return on July 13th. He will be here, and we have a big show planned for you, especially for his return. Plus, that is the day before yours truly's birthday. Yes. So, we are going to have a big show planned for you guys. As far as scheduling for next week, to let you guys know, the Huddle Hub Podcast will not be here. It is the 4th of July weekend. It is a holiday. I feel like there's not going to be a lot of football news, and if there is, we will have it for you on the July 13th episode, but we will not be here next week. It's a holiday weekend, and going to take the week off to kind of chill out, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the holidays, whatever festivities are going on. So, let's get into it, guys. The news coming out of the world of football. Justin Tucker, the kicker, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, he's suspended for 10 games this season for personal conduct violation. Now, we all know that he has 13 accounts he's being accused of and has 13 allegations of SA. If you guys don't know what SA is, then look it up. Go on the internet. Go ask somebody what SA is. I'm not going to say it here. I'm not trying to get in trouble. Okay? I'm not trying to get banned, anything like that. SA. That's what Justin Tucker is being accused of. Okay? 13 counts. He is suspended for 10 games this season. Now, he is a free agent. The Ravens did release him back in May. So he is not on a roster. Once those 10 games are up, then he'll be eligible to play. So come week 11, he'll be eligible to play. Whether a team signs him or not, that is up in air. Do I think any team will sign him with these allegations over his head? No. I think Justin Tucker will not be kicking a football in the year of 2025. Until everything goes through and we see what happens with him with these allegations, whether he faces any consequences of anything. I don't think anything is going to happen for him. I think he's going to be a free agent through the year 2025 and maybe end up getting signed in 2026. That is if he's cleared. Because if he's facing repercussions for these allegations, then I could see Justin Tucker possibly being done in the NFL. So as of right now, he's out 10 games. Done for 10 games. I don't think a team signs him. I don't care if a team is desperate for a kicker. I don't think they sign him. I don't. There are plenty of kickers out there that can come in if you're desperate. Plenty of kickers out there that are on the free agent market that you can bring in and do what needs to be done. Justin Tucker does not need to. He doesn't need to be the guy. Now, again, he's not guilty of anything because these are allegations. He has not been proven guilty. So could a team realistically sign him? Yeah, they could. They could. But guarantee if he gets signed by somebody and these allegations come up that they're real, they actually happened, even one account of these allegations out of the 13 are come to true, I think the team says, you know what? Get out of here. Go. We're done. They're kicking him out. They're releasing him. Now, I know the argument would be, well, what about the Browns with Deshaun Watson? He had the allegations as well, yada, yada, yada. The money that the Browns have invested in Deshaun Watson is nowhere near as low as what Justin Tucker makes. Justin Tucker can make $1.5 million in a year for being signed, and the team will eat that 1.5. The only reason why I feel like Deshaun Watson is still on the Browns roster is because of the money that they would have to eat if they released him. And it honestly would not all go to him. There's many factors of where the money goes. The agents, all that stuff. So, releasing a kicker that gets signed for $1.5 million, you'll eat that. I don't think Deshaun Watson takes another snap in the NFL, to be honest. That's why back a few weeks ago, when we talked about the quarterback battle in Cleveland, I didn't add Deshaun Watson on that list. They moved forward. Yeah, he's on their roster, but it's mainly because of the money tie-up. That's it. And I think once Cleveland gets into a good place with cap space, with cap money, he'll be gone. He'll be gone before his contract is up. Because next year, the cap space goes up. Every team has cap space that goes up. When you look at the Browns in 2025, at the moment, the Browns have $22 million in cap space. Okay? When we get to 2026, the Browns will have, they'll be in the negative. They'll be in the negative. But I think they'll find a way to get into that positive. And yeah, they're already eating $10 million in dead cap space next year. So that's rough. It is. But for Justin Tucker, he would get $1.5 million for a year. And if the allegations come up to be true, even one, that team would release him. That team would release him. And they would eat that 1.5. But that's what's going on with Justin Tucker. Suspended 10 games for personal conduct. He's being accused of SA and on 13 accounts. So we'll have to see what happens with Justin Tucker moving forward. But he will be eligible to play in Week 11. The Bengals and the County of Cincinnati. They have reached a tentative deal to renovate Paycor Stadium. There's going to be $470 million of renovations being done to the stadium, and that also extends the Bengals' lease for 11 years. So for the next 11 years, Cincinnati, you have the Bengals because they're going to be renovating your stadium. And, yeah. Now, was there talks about the Bengals leaving Cincinnati? There were not a lot of talks. You heard things here and there. You heard some chatter about the possibility of the Bengals leaving Cincinnati and so on and so forth. But it wasn't as big a talks of what we're hearing with the Chiefs. And we'll talk about the Chiefs in a moment. But I didn't think the Bengals were going to be going anywhere. I didn't think they'd be leaving Cincinnati. I had a good feeling that they were going to get this extension to renovate and stay in Cincinnati, and it happened. So the Bengals, they end up getting an 11-year extension and $470 million from the county to renovate Paycor Stadium. So we'll have to see what the Bengals Stadium is going to look like with these renovations. Now, sometimes renovations, you can't really notice on TV what the renovations are. You know, sometimes they're big internal renovations, bathrooms, parking lots, concessions get renovated, the locker rooms get renovated, the weight rooms get renovated. The building gets renovations. And it's not all about what the fan experience is. It's sometimes internal. Like I said, the weight room, the locker room, those things get renovated as well because they need to be kept up to date. So they get the $470 million for renovation, and they're sticking around. 11 years more for Cincinnati Bengals. Well, football in Cincinnati. So speaking of renovations and team stadiums and all that stuff, the Chiefs, there's been a lot of talk about the Chiefs leaving the state of Missouri and heading into the state of Kansas, crossing the line and going over to the state of Kansas and actually being the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they are in Kansas City, Missouri, but there is a Kansas City in Kansas. And there's talks about the Chiefs heading into the state of Kansas and being the actual Kansas City Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs have asked for an extension for a decision on the move. Now, the extension goes as far as, I believe, Friday. So I think they have a week to decide. Basically, the 4th of July. Now, they're probably going to have to decide before then because of the 4th of July. But they asked for this extension. This is a long-term kind of decision. Because you got to think, the Chiefs have been in Kansas City, Missouri for a very long time. The fan base has built up huge in Missouri, in the state of in the city of Kansas City. So with moving states, I mean, we've seen it with many teams. The Raiders moved from Oakland to Los Angeles, back to Oakland, back to Los Angeles, and now they're in Vegas. They're in a totally different state. The Oakland Athletics have been in Oakland for a long time. First, they were the Philadelphia A's here in Pennsylvania a long time ago. Then they moved out to Oakland, California. And now they're going to be in Vegas. So it's we see teams leave states and the fan bases, most of them follow. Most of them don't. It's almost like a 50-50 split. So would we see the Chiefs fan base go down if they left the state of Missouri? And if they actually went to Kansas? That's a huge question. What would the fan base look like? Because fan bases do change. Look at the Oilers. They went from the Houston Oilers to the Tennessee Titans And now there's this team in Houston since 2002 in the Texans. The Browns went from Cleveland, Ohio, to Baltimore, Maryland, and became the Ravens. And now we have the Browns again. Now the Chiefs would stay as the Kansas City Chiefs. But what would the state of Missouri do if they lost the Chiefs? Would we see a pro football team come in? Would we get an expansion team? Who knows? But the Chiefs have a couple days to decide what they're going to do, whether they're going to move to the state of Kansas or if they're going to stay in the state of Missouri. The extension was granted for them to make this decision. We got some more news here. The Buccaneers, they have given a contract extension to head coach Todd Bowles and GM Jason Licht. This is a huge decision to make when you extend your coaches and your GMs because they're doing something right in order to earn that extension. Well, we see the Tampa Bay Bucks. They are on a roll when it comes to winning their division, okay? They have won their division 4 straight seasons. They have ruled the NFC South, okay? They've made the playoffs the past 4 seasons, but they have not been able to get over that divisional round hump, which has been the hard part. And they believe that Todd Bowles, the head coach, and Jason Licht, the GM, can make that happen. When you look at the Buccaneers, they are a strong-looking team. They are a very strong-looking football team. But there's just something going on to where they cannot get over that divisional round hump. And the ownership believes that Todd Bowles and Jason Licht can make that happen. And if I was a Buccaneers fan, you know what? I believe it too. Because that team is strong. A very strong football team. And I think the Buccaneers in the next 4 or 5 seasons, we're not sure on how long this contract extension is, but I'm going to say 4 seasons. I think the Buccaneers in the next 4 seasons could get over that divisional round hump. They could, especially with the team that they have now. So congratulations to Todd Bowles, the head coach, and GM Jason Licht for getting their extensions. So we got some fun news and not so fun news that we're going to talk about because this ain't contract extension stuff. The first thing is George Kittle, tight end of the 49ers. He said that he's happy for Deebo Samuels on having a fresh start out in Washington with the Commanders. You know, Deebo and George, if you go watch the season 1 of Receivers on Netflix, you see the relationship that Kittle and Deebo have. They have a very strong relationship, a very strong friendship. And when Deebo got traded to Washington, I was shocked. Because those guys have such a strong relationship. I mean, that's almost like a 1-2 punch right there on the field. And to get rid of the 1 and leave the 2, the reason why I say Deebo 1, because Deebo was a jack of all trades. He can run the ball. He can go out and catch the ball. He can block. So he'd be the 1. Kittle, he'd be the 2. I mean, to see that broken up, it's like, damn, this is why everybody has a problem and is really thinking about, are the 49ers going to be as good as they're trying to make themselves out to be? Now, when you look at the 49ers roster, you're like, oh, man, they got rid of a lot of people. Charvarius Ward, Deebo Samuels. I mean, they cleaned house a little bit. But I'm going to tell you what, guys. The 49ers are a stronger team than you think. And I would not be surprised if they have a comeback here. I would not be surprised if they go out and win the NFC West this year. I would not be surprised if they make it as far as the conference championship this year. Now, you'll probably be shocked. But I'm going to say this, I wouldn't. Because we've seen football teams do this and go the distance. Patriots have done it a couple times. So George Kittle wishing a great happy for Debo for his fresh start in Washington. So some not so good news coming out of the 49ers camp, as by the way. Diminor Lenore. He was charged with a misdemeanor on Thursday night after resisting arrest. He was with a group of friends, and some officers noticed a firearm in a parked car. Lenore was part of this group. He ended up getting arrested on Thursday night, but was released on Friday. He did not spend a lot of time in jail, was released on Friday on a bond. There is a court date set for July 27th, so I'm sure we'll find out more come July 27th when this court date happens. But Lenore, he's out right now. He's let go, but that was it. They found a firearm, an unlicensed firearm, in a vehicle that he was part of a group of, and he resisted arrest. So we'll find out more about that come July 27th when the court date happens. We don't have too much more information, but those two pieces of information coming from this news. Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Eagles, he released a children's book titled Better Than a Touchdown. Now, Jalen Hurts did mention in an interview earlier this week that he has been looking, he's been wanting to do this for years now, release a children's book. And finally, he has done that. Again, it is titled Better Than a Touchdown. Now, as an Eagles fan, is there a chance I might get this book and see what it's about? Probably. Even though it's a children's book, I will probably get it. I will probably read it. If not, I'll just go to a bookstore and read it and see if, I have a child, but she is much older to the point where I wouldn't have to read this book to her, out of high school and everything. So, jeez. She is out of high school and everything. So, but maybe I can buy the book and read it to my dogs. They wouldn't mind sitting there and listening to me read, right? So maybe. So Quarterbacks Season 2 on Netflix is going to premiere on July 8th. The quarterbacks that will be featured is Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals, Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions, and Kirk Cousins of the Atlanta Falcons. This will be a reflection of the 2024 NFL season. So basically what this is Hard Knocks, but it's not Hard Knocks, but it is like Hard Knocks, but it's just featuring 3 quarterbacks. And they followed them around in the year 2024. If you want a good example of this, go to Netflix, watch season 1. Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes, and I'm trying to think of the other quarterback that they featured. Marcus Mariota. Those are the 3 quarterbacks they featured in season 1 of Quarterbacks. So go check out Quarterback Season 1 and get ready for Quarterback Season 2 on Netflix. This is not a paid advertisement. They did not ask me to do this. But, hey, Netflix, creators of Quarterbacks, I wouldn't be opposed. Let's talk. I will promote the shit out of this for you. But Quarterbacks Season 2 coming out July 8th on Netflix. Check it out. I guarantee you'll like it because Season 1 was amazing. NFL will premiere their top 100 players starting on Monday. Now, how this works is they pretty much pick the top 100 players in the NFL, and they start from number 100 and work their way down to 90. And then the next day from 89 down to 80. Then the next day, 79 down to 70. They do this pretty much throughout the week. They set at least 10 or 20 guys that they picked out of the league, and they do a top 100, and that will premiere on Monday. That is how they did it in the past. I don't know if they're doing the full 100 on Monday, but it is starting on Monday. So I'm guessing that they're going to split this up into a couple days, do like a countdown thing. I don't know. We'll have to see come Monday, though. But they will be picking the top 100 players in the NFL. So, yeah, check that out. A lot of news coming out about Tom Brady and his role when it comes to as an ownership with the Raiders. Now, Tom Brady had mentioned that he had nothing to do with free agency. He had nothing to do with the draft. He is just a majority owner of the team, but he does not make any decisions as far as what goes on in the front office when it comes to signing players, drafting players, scouting players. He said that they have a lot of people that do that stuff. He is just a majority owner, and if a decision needs to be made, then he comes in and he helps make decisions. That's the only way he makes decisions. Other than that, he leaves everything to everybody. So he had no decision on who got drafted. Ashton Genty, running back. He had no decision on what quarterback was going to come in and play. Geno Smith. He had none of that decision. So Tom Brady is just pretty much a come in, and if he needs to help make a decision, then he will. But when it comes to players, he doesn't. There you go, guys. That clears that up. And he mentioned that as well. But that's all the news that I have for you guys coming out of the world of football. This is going to probably be a fairly quick show today. We do have 2 special segments for you, but I don't see taking long. Again, we started a little earlier today because I have some personal stuff that I want to do. And so going live at 10:30 opposed to 11 o'clock, I don't think is a bad thing. We're going to take a 30-second to 45-second break right now. I want to ask you guys to head over to all the Huddle Hub podcast social medias, X, TikTok, and YouTube at the Huddle Pod. We'll be back in just 45 seconds. So if you guys can, please head over to all the Huddle Hub podcast social medias on X and TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod. Please hit that follow button, and over on the YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod, you hit subscribe to follow over on the YouTube. You don't have to pay anything to hit that subscribe button. That's just the way you follow on YouTube. So please head over to the Huddle Hub Pod on all our social medias. It would definitely be appreciated. Also, if you're watching on Twitch here, hit the follow button here. All the links for the socials are in the bio below. So please click on the links, and it will take you right to all the social medias for the Huddle Hub podcast. It would definitely be appreciated. And thank you for joining us here as we build the Huddle Hub podcast going into the year of 2025. All right, guys, let's get into our next segment of the show, and that is the Madden team ratings. All the Madden team ratings came out, and I'm going to say this. I looked at these ratings, and I was kind of like, how are some of these teams rated the way they are? You look at the rosters of these teams and you're like, man, they should probably be a point or two higher. They probably should. Okay? And then I came to thinking, some of these teams, the way they're rated as well as the way they finished in the year 2024, it kind of got me thinking a little bit, like, how do they really decide how they rate these teams? And I know we're building the Huddle Hub podcast here, but I'm throwing out the I'm asking EA, I'm asking the people that are in the office that work on the game of Madden, can I please at least join like a video conference and listen in on how you guys do this? Because I'm a very avid Madden player. Now, I don't compete. I don't do online matches. Like, I do online matches, but not as much. I'm not a big competitor. I don't go to tournaments or anything like that. I used to do tournaments. I didn't get far with them because it was just like little like GameStop tournaments and stuff like that. If you won, you got a free copy of the game or something like that. Like little tournaments like that. I used to do that back in the day. But I'm a very avid Madden player. I do some stuff on Madden, like I do the franchise mode, and then I'll go in and take a team that's a low rating and then break them down and try and build them up and stuff like that. Me and John do that as well. We do our Madden franchises and stuff. I would love to be a part of how the decision is made as far as how Madden team ratings happen. So I'm throwing out the invite request from EA and the Madden creators. Please let me get involved in this. I'm begging you. But let's get into it. We're going to start with the 75 rating. Okay. Now the teams that are rated 75, there is a standalone, and that is the Giants. Okay. They finished 3-14 last year, 4th in the NFC East. They had no accomplishments whatsoever. None whatsoever. The only accomplishment they had was having the 2nd pick in the NFL draft. That's what they earned. But 3-14, 4th in the NFC East. I can agree with that rating because they are a team on the rise of build. They are rebuilding right now. So could I agree with that rating? Yes. The Cardinals are rated number 76. They went 8-9. They finished 3rd in the NFC West. No accomplishments. I can agree with their rating. I can. The Commanders are rated 78. They finished 12-5, lost in the conference title game to the Eagles, 2nd in the NFC East. I think they need to be rated higher. I do. Because look where they finished. Now, I know the ratings change from week to week as the season goes on because of injuries and all that stuff. But this team lost in the NFC title game. They were one step away from the Super Bowl. Why are they not rated higher? So I disagree with the Commanders rating at 78. The two teams that are rated at 79, number one, the Panthers. They finished 5-12. They finished 3rd in the NFC South. I can agree with that. The Broncos, they finished 10-7. They lost to the Bills in the wild card round, 3rd in the AFC West. I can agree with the Broncos being 79. I can. Maybe put them in the low 80s, maybe 81, 82, but a 79 rating, I can agree with it. Because, 2nd-year rookie quarterback coming in, took over last year as a rookie. They are a young team. Could I agree with them being a 79? Yes. But I say in the 80s because of making the playoffs. That's the only reason why I would put them in like an 81, 82. Other than that, 79 is a perfect rating for the Broncos. The teams that are rated in the 80s, starting with 80. The Seahawks. They went 10-7, finished 2nd in the NFC West. I can agree with that. The Titans finished 3-14, 4th in the AFC South. The Titans, I could see them being rated a little lower. I think maybe 78, 79. But I can agree with the 80. The Patriots finished 4-13, 4th in the AFC East. I can agree with them being rated 80. I can. The teams that are rated 81. First, the Bears. They finished 5-12, 4th in the NFC North. I can agree with the 81 rating. The Packers finished 11-6. They lost in the wild card round to the Eagles and 3rd in the NFC North. I think they should be rated a little higher. So I disagree with the 81 rating. And then the Raiders finished 4-13, no accomplishments, 4th in the AFC West. I can agree with the 81 rating. The 82 rated teams, starting with the Rams, they finished 10-7, lost in the division round to the Eagles, 1st in the NFC West. I think the Rams should be rated a little higher, maybe an 84. Maybe an 84, but an 82 rating, I can agree with that too. I can. Jaguars finished 4-13, 3rd in the AFC South. I think they should be rated lower, so I disagree with that rating. Colts finished 8-9, 2nd in the AFC South. Colts, I think they're perfect at an 82, so I'll agree with that rating. And then the Chargers went 11-6, lost in the wildcard round to the Texans, 2nd in the AFC West. I can agree with an 82 rating. The 83 rated teams, the Vikings, they went 14-3, lost to the Rams in the wildcard round, 2nd in the NFC North. I can disagree with the rating. I think the Vikings should start off at least an 85. So I disagree with the 83 rating. The Saints finished 5-12, fourth in the NFC South. I think they should be rated lower, so I disagree with that rating. The teams that are rated 84, the Falcons, 8-9, finished second in the NFC South, no accomplishments. I think they should be rated lower, at least an 82. Maybe flop them out with the Colts or the Chargers at the 84 rating. I don't think the Falcons should be an 84 rating, so I disagree with their rating. The Buccaneers finished 10-7, lost in the wildcard round to the Commanders, first in the NFC South. I can agree with a Buccaneers 84 rating. I can agree with that rating. The teams that are rated 85, the Texans finished 10-7, lost in the divisional round to the Chiefs, finished first in the AFC South. I can agree with the 85 rating. The Bills finished 13-4, lost in the conference title game to the Chiefs, first in the AFC East. I think they should be rated higher. So I disagree with the 85 rating. The teams that finished that are rated 86. The Jets, 5-12, third in the AFC East, no accomplishments. The Jets, I disagree with the 86 rating. I think they should be maybe slightly lower, maybe an 84. The Steelers finished 10-7, lost in the wildcard round to the Ravens, second in the AFC North. I disagree with the 86 rating. I think maybe they should be an 84 and 85. And that's just my thought. The teams that are rated 87, the Browns finished 3-14, fourth in the AFC North. I think they should be rated lower, so I disagree with that rating. The Bengals finished 9-8, third in the AFC North. I'm okay with the Bengals being an 87 rating. They have a hell of an offense. I think their defense, yes, it needs some work, but it's not as bad as people think it is. So I can agree with the 87 rating. And then finally, the 87 rating. This one caught me so off guard. I was like, why is this team not a 90 at least? The Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles went 14-3, first in the NFC East, Super Bowl champions. They're rated an 87. I highly disagree with this rating. I think they should be at least a 90. They are the Super Bowl champions. Super Bowl champion teams should be no lower than 90 in a Madden rating. Bottom line. So I disagree with this. The teams that are rated 88, the Cowboys 7-10, third in the NFC East. I think they should be at least an 85. I disagree with this rating. The Lions are rated an 88, 15-2. Lost in the division round to the Commanders, first in the NFC North. I agree with the Lions being at an 88. They deserve to be at that rating. The Dolphins are the lone 89 rated team. Finished 8-9, second in the AFC East. I think they should be rated lower. So I disagree with this rating. 3 teams left. The team that's rated 91, the Ravens, 12-5, lost in the division round to the Bills, first in the AFC North. I agree with this rating. They deserve to be a 91. And then finally, the last 2 teams who are rated number 92, and I will say this right now. The first one, the 49ers, 6-11, finished 4th in the NFC West. I disagree with them being a 92. I think right now they should be at least an 89. At least an 89. They finished 6-11. Had a rough year. They should be at least an 89. Same with the Chiefs, who went 15-2, lost in the Super Bowl to the Eagles, finished first in the AFC West. I don't think they should be a 92. I think they should be at least an 89. And you look at these accomplishments of these teams. I mean, you look at the division champions. Okay, the division champions. These teams won their division. They should be maybe at a 90 starting off as a rating. Now, I know I said I disagreed with one of them being up in the 90s, and that is the Chiefs, who won the AFC West. It is their 9th straight AFC West championship. Okay? Now, I'm going to say this again. Yes, I disagreed with the Chiefs being above a 90. But at the same time, I think division champions, and this is me kind of going back on what I said, but at the same time, do I think a division champion team who made the playoffs guaranteedly should be at least at a 90? Yes, it's a give and take. It's a 50-50. It is. Eagles, the last time they won the NFC East was in 2022. They won it again last year. The Rams, last time they won the NFC West was in 2021. So they're new to winning their division. The Buccaneers won their 4th straight NFC South championship. The Lions won their 2nd straight NFC North championship. The Chiefs won their 9th straight AFC West. Bills won their 5th straight AFC East. The Texans won their 2nd straight AFC South, and the Ravens won their 2nd straight AFC North. So with the teams winning their divisions, should they be rated a 90? Yes. But at the same time, you look at how these ratings are done. This is why I ask EA to please let me come into a meeting and listen to how you guys do these ratings. Because I'm sitting here saying, do I think the Chiefs were a good enough team to be above a 90 in the year of 2024 going into 2025? No. Yes, they went 15-2. Yes, they lost in the Super Bowl. But do I think they were a good enough team to be? No. But then they won their division. And I think division winners should be at least a 90. So it's a give and take. It's a give and take. Okay? Before we get into our last segment of the day, our final segment of the day, we're going to take a 45-second break. I want to ask you guys, please, to head over to all our social medias over at the Huddle Hub Pod. Here they are on the screen. Links are in below here in the Twitch bio. We'll be back in 45 seconds. So please make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias to hit that follow button over on TikTok and X and hitting that subscribe button over on the YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. All the links are in the bio here on the Twitch channel. If you could please hit that follow button here on Twitch as well, it would definitely appreciate it as we build the channel here for the Huddle Hub Pod in the year of 2025. We're going to get into the last segment of the day, and that is the preseason position predictions. Top 5. I'm just doing a top 5 for each position. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, I didn't do the offensive line. It is a brand new award. Now, me and John are going to do another one before the season starts. There's a chance we may add in the offensive line, but I want to kind of see how they do and how they rate giving an offensive lineman the new award. So I think for this year, we're not going to do the offensive line. We're going to just do the other positions: quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, running back, defensive end and edge rushers, defensive tackles, linebackers, defensive backs. That's how we're going to do this, okay? And we're going to do it top 5 by position. Let's start with the quarterbacks, QBs, okay? Now, these are my top 5 predictions for the preseason. Again, we are going to do another one of these before the season starts. So this one is basically not set in stone. This is just who I think could possibly be in that top 5 as of right now. Now, this list may change before we do the season one, the beginning of the season one. But right, this is the list right now who I think could be in the top 5. First off, the quarterbacks. At number 5, Brock Purdy of the 49ers. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I think he's going to have a much better year than he had last year. He's going to possibly have Christian McCaffrey back. So do I think he's going to have a better year than he had last year? Yes. And plus he got that new contract. I think Brock Purdy will be in the top 5. At number 4 is going to be Jaden Daniels of the Commanders. Had a hell of a season last year as a rookie. And I think this year he's going to definitely be in the running for MVP if the Commanders have a season like they had last year. Plus, they're adding in Deebo Samuels to this offense. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good addition to your offense. So Jaden Daniels is number 4. Number 3, CJ Stroud of the Texans. Had a hell of a rookie year. Last year had a bit of a rough go. I think he's going to have a bounce back year and be in that running for MVP. At number 2, Lamar Jackson of the Ravens. Okay, now people thought he was going to be the defending MVP of the league this year, but no, Josh Allen won it last year. So Lamar Jackson, I think he'll be back in that hunt this year. I think Lamar Jackson will be one of the talks of the town as far as the MVP award. At number 1, Joe Burrow of the Bengals. He had a hell of a year last year. I think he's going to have a hell of a year this year. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I mean, he has his receivers locked up. That defense needs to get put together and put together fast. Like I said during the post-draft analysis, I said it. The Bengals need to get the defense together, and they need to stay healthy if they want to get back to where they want to be. So Joe Burrow is number 1. I think Joe Burrow will be a high candidate for MVP this year. For the running backs, at number 5, I got Jahmyr Gibbs from the Lions. Hell of a running back. Hell of a running back, and I think he'll be in the running for Offensive Player of the Year. Depending on how that offensive line does for the Lions. A lot of people are thinking the Lions are going to take a step back this year. Even me, I think the Lions will take a step back this year. I do, but I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be in the running there for the Offensive Player of the Year. Number 4, rookie running back Ashton Jeanty of the Raiders. Okay, I think the Raiders are going to have a better season this year. I think the Raiders are going to have. I think they're going to give a run of the money to the Chiefs. I really do. I think the Raiders are going to have a hell of a season this year. I think they have the motivation to do it. New head coach, new quarterback, more set in stone positions, and I think Ashton Jeanty will definitely give a running for Offensive Player of the Year this year. At number 3, Josh Jacobs of the Packers. Didn't have a bad season last year. I think he's going to have a much better one this year in year 2 of Green Bay. At number 2, Derrick Henry of the Ravens. Him and Saquon up until about week 10 last year were about neck and neck for running back of the year, and then Saquon just took off, right? And I think the same thing is going to happen this year. Number 1 is Saquon Barkley of the Eagles. I think that we're going to have a repeat year when it comes to the running backs. It's going to come down to Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, maybe up until about week 12, week 13, and then Saquon will take off with it. That's just my thought. That's my opinion. So number 2 is Derrick Henry. Number 1 is Saquon Barkley. For the wide receivers, at number 5, DK Metcalf of the Steelers. He's got Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football, okay? DK Metcalf is a big-bodied dude, and Aaron Rodgers still knows how to put the ball in the hands of his receivers. He does. He just had a rough go with it in New York. He did. He's got DK Metcalf going out and catching passes now. I think DK Metcalf will be on the list here for best wide receiver of the year. At number 4, A.J. Brown of the Eagles. Now, you're probably thinking, Mike, you didn't have Jalen Hurts. Why do you have A.J. Brown on this list? Well, because, yes, Jalen Hurts, he had a rough go with it last year when it came to passing, but then when we got to the playoffs, and especially the Super Bowl, he just went lights out. He did. Mainly in the Super Bowl because in the playoffs, Saquon Barkley, he ran the ball more than anything. He broke records, all that stuff. Just because Jalen is not on my top 5 with the quarterbacks does not mean A.J. Brown cannot be in the top 5 when it comes to wide receivers. Bottom line, you don't have to have a combo pack there in order for a position player to win its position. But A.J. Brown is on this list. At number 3, Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions. Okay, this kid is a freaking monster. Hell of a wide receiver. And I think he just progresses as the years go on. Okay, he is definitely going to be on this list for one of the best wide receivers this season. Number 2, Justin Jefferson of the Vikings. Enough said. he can end up gritting his way all the way to best wide receiver of the year. Just that much. But at number 1 is Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was a Triple Crown guy last year, and I think he's going to repeat that this year. Especially with everybody being under contracts now, the offense is pretty much set in stone for the next four years or so. Jamar Chase will definitely be number 1 at wide receiver. Now, yeah, I have Joe Burrow and I have Jamar Chase, both at number 1. Like I said, but you don't have to have that combo pack. But it's just inevitable. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are a 1-2 freaking punch. So, what's up, Cam? Thanks for joining me here this morning. We are in our last segment of the day, preseason position predictions, doing top 5s before we close things out here today. So, but I appreciate you stopping in and checking out the Huddle Up podcast. Thank you so much. For tight ends, at number 5, I got Travis Kelce of the Chiefs. He's lost a couple pounds, but he still looks great. I think he's going to have a little bit more of a bounce back here than what he had last year. He didn't have that great of a season last year. Had a good one, but not a great one. I think Travis Kelce will bounce back and have a better statistics season this year than he did last year. At number 4, Pat Freiermuth of the Steelers. Again, Aaron Rodgers is throwing you the ball. Aaron Rodgers, I think, still has it. And that's bottom line. I think he is going to put the Steelers in a really good position to win a lot more ball games. Remember last year when the Steelers were in positions to where they were able to win games, but then they didn't win at the end of the year? I think Aaron Rodgers will be the guy to finish those games off. You look at how he had things in New York. He didn't have the positional capabilities to finish games off. In Pittsburgh, you have DK Metcalf. You have Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, you have an offensive line that's going to protect you. Come on now. I think Pat Freiermuth will be on this list of best tight ends for the year. At number 3, David Njoku of the Browns. Okay, David Njoku is one of my favorite tight ends in the league. Love David Njoku, and I think he will be on the list when it comes to best tight end of the year. Statistically, this kid is amazing. He can go out and make tough catches. I feel bad for this kid because he is in a rough situation on a team that does not even have their starting quarterback decided. Now, yes, Joe Flacco is decided to be the day one guy, but as of this week, there really has not been a full-on decision. Like 2 weeks ago, they're saying Joe Flacco. This week, they're saying maybe Shador. That's rough. And I can agree with that. He's going to block more than go out for catches, but that's what tight ends are nowadays. They're more blocking than they are going out for catches. That's what the tight end position primarily came to these past 2 seasons. But then when a tight end goes out for catches and they gain yards, that's why I think Pat Freiermuth will be able to be on this list. He's going to be one of the top 5 tight ends of the year. But again, this list can change because we're going to do another one before the season starts when John comes back. So this is just preseason as of right now thoughts. At number 2, Isaiah Likely of the Ravens. Now you're thinking Isaiah Likely, he had like one good thing happen to him all season, and that was in week 1 against the Chiefs. Caught the ball and the tip of his toe was out of bounds and had an amazing game. After that, didn't do shit. Yeah, well, Mark Andrews didn't do much of anything either. I think Isaiah Likely is going to become the number 1 tight end in Baltimore, and he's going to have a hell of a better season than he had last year. He's going to be more of a focus this year. So I think Isaiah Likely, with Lamar Jackson as his quarterback, could come on this list. But my number 1 tight end prediction is George Kittle of the 49ers. I think he's going to be a key focus in San Francisco with all the changes. So I think George Kittle will be the number 1 tight end in the league. On defense, as far as defensive ends and edge rushers, at number 5, Aiden Hutchinson. I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to have a comeback player of the year season. He's going to be on that list for comeback player of the year. He's also going to be on the top 5 list as far as defensive ends and edge rushers. So Aiden Hutchinson at number 5. At number 4, Micah Parsons of the Cowboys. Okay, he's playing for a contract. He wants money. He wants to get signed. He's on his last year. Okay, he's going to try and go out there and show out. And that's that. And if it's not for a contract with the Cowboys, then it's for a contract for another team. So Micah Parsons will go out and show out. At number 3, Max Crosby of the Raiders. Again, I am very high on this Raiders defense. Max Crosby just got paid. I think he's going to have a hell of a season. He may even be if Trey Hendrickson does not get his contract done in Cincinnati and he sits out for the season, then it is there for Max Crosby to take. It is. And Cam, I don't think so either. I think he's going to be gone. I think next year he will be in a different uniform, but he is going to show out this year to get a contract from somebody. At number 2, Myles Garrett of the Browns. Just got a big contract. The defense of the Browns looks amazing, and I think Myles Garrett will definitely be another one who will be up for season sack leader. But my number 1 is TJ Watt of the Steelers. Kid is amazing. A monster. And with Trey Hendrickson not being in the fold, TJ Watt could definitely win defensive end edge rusher of the year and become a season sack leader. So TJ Watt is my number 1. As far as defensive tackles are concerned, at number 5, Dexter Lawrence of the Giants. Hell of a defensive tackle. Hell of a defensive tackle. Had a great year last year. I think he's going to have a better season this year. At number 4, Chris Jones of the Chiefs. Got his contract signed up, ready to go, good to go. Another one that could be up for defensive tackle of the year. At number 3, Quinton Williams of the Jets. I'm very high on this guy. A big fan of this guy. Big fan of Williams from the Jets. Could he be a season sack leader? No. Defensive tackles don't really get that regard, but I think statistically he'll be good with tackles. He will. You feel like the Steelers will trade TJ next season? I think he wants out of Pittsburgh. Well, he's on his last year of his contract. He's on a contract here. So basically he's in the same position as Micah Parsons. He is. He'll play this season. He will. He'll play this season. He's going to be playing for a contract. So be ready and be prepared for TJ Watt possibly being out of Pittsburgh. He hasn't indicated whether he wants out of Pittsburgh or not. I think he wants to stay in Pittsburgh. I think he does, but it's all about where they can meet in the middle as far as money. That's all. I think he wants to finish out in Pittsburgh. So at number 2, Jalen Carter of the Eagles. Had a hell of a year the past, pretty much since he's come into Philadelphia. So Jalen Carter, that's a no-brainer, but my number 1 is Jarrett Verse of the Rams. I think he's going to repeat as Defensive Player of the Year. We've seen Rams defensive linemen be repeat Defensive Players of the Year. And Jarrett Verse coming in and taking over the way he did as being a rookie, I would not be surprised if Jarrett Verse does not come in and repeat the year he had last year. As far as linebackers, at number 5, Bobby O'Kirk from the Giants. Again, this Giants defense, people are sleeping on them, but they look good. And these guys are together for year number 2. I think they're going to be a lot better than they were in year 1. I do. Bobby O'Kirk from the Giants, I think, will be up for best linebacker of the year. At number 4, Patrick Queen of the Steelers. Now, you're probably thinking, Patrick Queen, he didn't have that great of a season last year with being in Pittsburgh. Again, it was his first year in Pittsburgh. It was his first year to get used to the organization, how things go in the offices, in the locker room, all that stuff. This is year number 2. I think Patrick Queen will be back to form this year and be on the list for best linebacker of the year. At number 3, Frankie Louvu of the Commanders. This kid's a monster. No doubt could he be on this list. No doubt. Number 2, Roquan Smith of the Ravens. Hell of a player. Can definitely be up for linebacker of the year. And number 1, Zach Bond of the Eagles. I mean, when you go from being on the practice squad out in New Orleans to being looked at by the Eagles and saying you're going to be a day 1 guy and be up for Defensive Player of the Year at the end of the year, that's telling you something. Plus, he just got his bag. He's ready to go. Zach Bond could end up repeating as best linebacker. Last position to give a top 5 to before we get out of here are the defensive backs. Now, this is a tough position. Why? Because, defensive backs, they don't get a lot of tackles. Interceptions are rare to come by. Even interceptions for touchdowns are rare to come by, right? So when you think of defensive backs, you're thinking, Like, this isn't the highest regarded position. But when it comes to a team, you look at that. Look at the Eagles last year. Reed Blankenship, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Okay? Just to give an example. It's a group of guys when it comes to that defensive backfield. It's tough to make a list without having at least two guys from the same team on the list. At number 5 and number 4, Reed Blankenship, Quinyon Mitchell of the Eagles. At number 3, Patrick Surtain of the Broncos. At number 2, Travarius Ward of the Colts. And my number 1 defensive back for 2025 in my preseason top 5 picks is Sauce Gardner of the Jets. So there it is. Preseason position predictions, top 5s. Me and John will do another one before the season starts. So again, this list can change, but this is just the preseason picks for right now. But that's all I got for you guys today here on the Huddle Hub Podcast. I want to ask you guys one more time to make sure to head over to all the Huddle Hub Podcasts social medias on X and TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod. Over on YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod, hit the follow button on the X and the TikTok, the subscribe button over on the YouTube. All the links are here in the Twitch channel, so it'll take you right to all the social medias. If you could please go follow over on all the social medias, would definitely be appreciated as we build the channel here in the year of 2025. You can also follow me on Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch at MetalMike714. That's where you can find me personally. I will be, I'm about to do a TikTok stream today for Pokemon Go. Because it is Go Fest. So pretty much right after I get off of here, within the next couple minutes, I might be live on TikTok for Go Fest. That's kind of the plan. It's all about how things are down at the park. If it's busy down at the park, I may decide to go to another one. If not, then I won't go live. But I'm thinking about it. But with that being said, I appreciate everybody who stopped out and checked out the show and checking out the replay. If you checked out the replay here on the YouTube. As I always say, be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Until next time, guys, remember, next Sunday, No Huddle Hub Podcast. Me and John will be back with you guys on July 13th. So be good. We'll see you then. Have a great one. Deuces.